Hello guys, welcome back. Now today, I'm going to compare my World Junior Championship predictions to the final World Junior standings. Now these 2019 World Junior Championships were honestly a ton of fun, but did my predictions from before the tournament hold up, or were they completely wrong? Now, you guys know that on this channel, I have a reputation of jinxing teams and jinxing players, especially when it comes to predictions I make in videos. And when I made that World Junior Championship predictions video before the tournament, it blew up. It became the second most viewed video on the channel. But I didn't expect those predictions to be correct, because when it comes to me, I usually get them wrong. But while lots of people criticized me heavily for my predictions before the tournament and before my predictions a couple of weeks ago, it turns out that I might have been right all along. Now, firstly, I'm going to go through my preliminary predictions. Of course, that is the games before the actual bracket itself. So, of course, we have Group A and Group B in this year's World Juniors, and I was a little bit less right on these ones, but I think I was in the ballpark for most of these predictions. Now, first up in Group A, the team that finished first in Group A was Team Russia. They ended up finishing with 12 points on the tournament, having a perfect 4-0 record. Now, I predicted Russia to have 9 points on the tournament. I predicted them to have a 3-0-1-0 campaign in the preliminary games. Still decent, but I was one record off. And with Team Russia, they had a pretty solid World Juniors. Of course, they didn't get a medal last year, but they were able to get the bronze medal this year. And with Team Russia, they had an amazing preliminary games. They looked almost unstoppable, and guys like Gregory Denisenko and guys like Vitaly Kravtsov were certainly leading the charge. Now, the team that actually ended up finishing number 2 in the Group A was Team Canada. They finished with 9 points on the tournaments and the preliminary games. Now, for Team Canada, I predicted them to get 9 points as well. I had them having the tiebreaker over Russia for them to be first in Group A, but I did predict Canada's points record pretty nicely, and Canada had an interesting tournament. Of course, they started off with that amazing game versus Denmark, 14-0 game. It was a crazy one. Everyone was on the hype train for Canada, and then in the preliminary games, they still looked good, and then in the quarterfinals, it just didn't really work out for them. Now, the team that ended up finishing number 3 in the Group A was Czech Republic. They ended up finishing the tournament with 5 points in the preliminary games. Now, I predicted the Czech Republic to get 5 points in the preliminary games also. I've had them finishing 4th. I had Switzerland just ahead of them. But Czech Republic had an okay tournament. It wasn't quite what they expected. Some guys, like Wylie, definitely disappointed, and it wasn't an ideal tournament for Czech Republic at all. They were a team that could surprise people, had always that upset potential, but they just were not able to do it, and other teams like Switzerland were able to take that upset opportunity and do it to teams like Sweden. Speaking of Switzerland, the team that finished 4th in Group A was Team Switzerland. They finished with 4 points on the preliminary games. Now, I predicted Switzerland to finish with 6 points, just ahead of Czech Republic to be 3rd in the Group A. But Switzerland still had a decent tournament, and of course, they were able to get to the bronze medal game, which is something that I think they'll definitely take. They didn't have the greatest preliminary games, which kind of worried me about them, but I thought Switzerland always had potential to upset a team, and they always had that upset potential to me. And while I didn't predict them to upset any team in the quarterfinals, they actually did end up doing that to Sweden, and of course were able to get into the bronze medal game after that. But I'm going to cut myself a little bit of slack for not predicting Switzerland to upset anybody, because I'm going to be honest, Switzerland was not looking like a team to do it this year, but Switzerland was able to do it against Sweden, was able to use their weaknesses for their strengths, and Switzerland was able to not have a great preliminary games, but was able to play well in the quarterfinals, and while they weren't able to get that bronze medal in the bronze medal game, they still played competitive, and I will give them that. And for Switzerland, while they didn't go away with a medal, the effort that they had in being able to beat a team like Sweden was certainly impressive. Heading over to last place in Group A, Denmark ended up finishing with 0 points and being number 5 in Group A. Unfortunately, now when it comes to my predictions, I predicted them to get to overtime in one game, but to lose it, which meant that they got 1 point on the tournament. But, of course, we didn't see that happen. Denmark had a pretty disappointing tournament. They had some games that they just let go of, but Denmark still looked okay. They got that one slaughtered by Canada, but they still look like a hockey country, and unfortunately they will be relegated next year, so we won't see Denmark in next year's World Juniors, but I did predict them to finish with 1 point, which is better than what they actually got. Heading over to Group B, the team that finished first in the standings was Team Sweden. They finished the tournament with 11 points in the preliminary games, and they looked once again very, very good. Of course, I don't think they went undefeated. I think they had like one overtime loss or something. But of course, their streak continues of streak or wins in the preliminary games, and that's just what it happens when it comes to Sweden. I thought they would maybe be a little bit less or so, but even then, Sweden had an amazing, amazing tournament, even if they were upset by Switzerland. Now, I predicted Sweden to finish with 8 points on the tournament. They obviously finished with 3 more. I predicted them to go 2-1-1-0. I didn't see Sweden as the most strong roster in these World Juniors. I recognize that, hey, they are amazing in the preliminary games, but without Timothy Liljegren, I thought that was going to be a big blow to their team. And, of course, in the quarterfinals against Switzerland, it seemed like they were definitely missing a guy like Timothy Liljegren to lead on that defense. And while Sweden's still an amazing defense, the offense just wasn't able to get it done, and we saw that not just in the preliminary games, but of course in that quarterfinal versus Switzerland, where they ended up getting upset. Next up, the team that ended up finishing number 2nd in Group B was Team USA. We have 10 points. Now, I predicted Team USA to finish with 9 points, so I wasn't too far off there. I predicted them to have a 2-1-0-1 record, and USA was interesting. When they were down 4-0 in Sweden, I was almost completely done with this team. I really had no faith in them whatsoever. I was really down on the team. Then Ryan Poling pretty much single-handedly puts Team USA over the top, but then they lose in overtime. It was still an amazing game, but that game after gave me a little bit of hope that maybe this team at USA could do something. And during, of course, the tournament, they played pretty well against teams like Russia. They were able to get to the gold medal game and unfortunately lose it, but Team USA looked a lot better after I ranted about them, and they looked about what I thought they would be. Maybe some guys like Keandre Miller maybe disappointed a little bit, but they still looked like the squad that I predicted them to look like. Now, the team that ended up finishing 3rd in Group B was kind of surprising, and especially looking back on it, it was kind of surprising. And the team that finished 3rd in Group B was Finland. They finished with only 6 points in the tournament, or in the preliminary games, which was very, very surprising for me. For what I predicted, I thought Finland was going to do pretty well, but only 6 points was really surprising. I was kind of down on them, and even though they were getting unlucky bounces, I was kind of wishful thinking for them. And for Finland, they were able to get it done. But even then, with the preliminary games, they kind of worried me a little bit about their opportunity to get it done, because after those games, I was a little bit worried about the team in general. Now, the team that ended up finishing number 4 in Group B was Slovakia. They ended up finishing with 3 points on the tournament. I predicted them to get 3 points on the tournament as well, so I am correct on that prediction, but I think they won versus Kazakhstan or something, so it isn't that much to celebrate, but Slovakia looked okay in some of the games that they played. They weren't the worst team in the world. They kept some games close, but they aren't one of the major countries when it comes to hockey in general. That is pretty much obvious, but they were able to put up a fight in some of their games and were able to be decent, so for that, I'll give them a little bit of credits. Heading on to number 5 in Group B, the sad category, you have Kazakhstan finishing with 0 points, and that's also what I predicted. I had Kazakhstan going 0-0-4-0, getting no points on the tournament, and that's kind of what I was thinking there. Kazakhstan had some okay games. They weren't terrible, but they weren't good at all. They had some okay players, but it still wasn't really going all together. And I'm going to be honest, when I was making that World Junior Championships predictions video, I didn't even know Kazakhstan was in the World Juniors. I didn't even know that was actually happening until then, but I was pretty much baffled when I saw that, because I never really even thought that Kazakhstan could be competing for a gold medal, but of course, they were in the World Juniors. They did put up a fight, and again, I gotta give them a little bit of credit, because I didn't even know they were going to be in the tournaments. So in total, when it comes to Group A and Group B, I ended up getting a total of 4 predictions right when it came to the points of the teams. So it wasn't great, but I'll take it nonetheless. Now, when it comes to the brackets and, of course, the actual tournament part of this tournament, of course, when it came to all the placements in the divisions and in the groups, the matchups ended up being a lot different than they actually were. When it comes to the quarterfinals and my predictions, it was Finland versus Czech Republic, it was Russia versus Sweden, it was Canada versus Slovakia, and USA versus Switzerland. So we got a lot of interesting matchups, but a lot of different matchups than what actually happened in real life. But of course, the bronze medal game and the gold medal game were both fantastic in real life. While I was pretty stoked to see USA and Finland in the gold medal game, the bronze game was also pretty entertaining. Of course, bronze medal game being Russia versus Switzerland, something that I certainly did not predict. Now, in my predictions, of course, I predicted Canada and Sweden to meet up in the bronze medal game. I predicted Canada to win 4-2 in that game and to get the bronze medal in the tournament. But unfortunately, they got upset in the quarterfinals, so that couldn't happen anyways. So, for my predictions for the gold medal game and what my predictions were heading into the tournament, I predicted Finland to win 5-4 over Team USA in the gold medal game. And that, while it wasn't the exact score, I predicted both the gold medal game and the winner of the gold medal. And to that, I am pretty happy, even though they had to win, or Finland had to win versus my team, Team USA. I'm still happy that I was able to actually get a prediction right for once. But honestly, I'm just surprised that my prediction actually ended up happening. While I predicted USA and Finland to meet up and Finland to win the gold medal game, even though I predicted it, I didn't expect it to happen because I usually grab jinx teams and I usually jinx them all the time. But it looked like I jinxed them halfway through the preliminary games. Finland wasn't looking all that strong. USA was looking kind of weak, but they started to win games. They started to get it done. And of course, they met up in the gold medal game, which when I made those predictions, I thought it would happen, but I really didn't expect it to happen. Now, for the player that I predicted to get the golden goal, of course, I predicted Finland to win over USA 5-4 in overtime. I predicted Aleksi Heponiemi to get the game-winning goal, the golden goal for the tournament. But of course, we all know what happened. With 1:30 left, they were tied 2-2, USA and Finland, and Capo Kakko was able to get the third goal for Team Finland. An absolute beauty, my favorite player in the 2019 NHL draft. So it's good to see him get that goal. And of course, I wouldn't have expected it, but I'm glad to see it happen. But of course, now that I get ultimate bragging rights over everyone for predicting this year's World Junior Championships, even though it wasn't completely perfect, I didn't get all the brackets right. I did get that gold medal game, and I did get the gold medal winner. So for me, I have ultimate bragging rights over pretty much everybody in that comment section of the World Junior Predictions video. But I also want to say congratulations to Team Finland and, of course, the Team Finland fans. Now, I streamed this golden game yesterday. It was a ton of fun. A lot of you guys came through, and you guys were absolutely amazing. But again, I just want to congratulate Finland, Team Finland, and, of course, the Finnish fans for getting this done. First gold medal since 2016, but you guys definitely deserved it. But again, looking back on my predictions, I now have ultimate bragging rights over everyone now, and I can now say that I predicted the 2019 World Junior Championships. But with this video, I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. So let me know, what did you think of my World Junior predictions? Of course, me being right in the gold medal game. What are your predictions? And of course, how did they hold up to this day? Were you right or were you wrong? But if you guys want some more grab videos, you can watch this video where I live stream my reaction to the golden game USA versus Finland. But that is going for it, guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. You can comment down below your thoughts on my predictions and how your predictions hold up. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.